tomorrow.
Well, I'd already kind of like started thinking about openers and kind of like peaking. And I know we already agreed on like, I think it was 2 and 3 weeks out because that just made the most
2
sense.
weeks out on upper and
Well, 3 weeks out on deadlift, 2 weeks out on
the
squat and
two, yeah.
bench, which makes sense. I am a little concerned about going too heavy, but as long as we start the peak a little lower, it'll
So's
probably
the
be
guy
fine.
that squatted out of pocket this
I
week.
did. I did
that. It's okay.
100%.
I understand.
100% with the intent that this is the last heavy squat of the block. And
you probably have 2 weeks before you have to squat heavy again.
well, that too, but it was more or less like I just wanted to get one good lick in.
That's
Really, I just wanted to take the 545. Genuinely, I was like 545. That's gonna be good. And then I hit it, and I was like, that was good. And I was like, I almost just put 555 on there and said, hey, it'd be a PR, a prep PR. You know, that's still good. And I was like, man, fuck it, just 565 will go. Yeah.
It was probably easier to find a 10 in there than it is to find a 5.
Well, I would have had to take the 2 10s off and put a 25.
That's right. Squat bar. But
I still ended up doing that because I put a 25 and a 5.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that it was easier.
Yeah.
It was, and it was also fucking old guy, dude. He was pissing me off. He was over there on the hack squat, legit, maybe 8th reps, maybe that might be generous. He would see me do some reps and he'd throw weight on there, and he'd just be like hitting there doing this, like worse than the LeBron James squat. Like it was awful, and I was like, bro, you're like 90 years old. He's not that old. He was older. He's like, you're not competing against me, bro. Like,
man, there's a different attitude in Hartsel.
It was just like, but it pissed me off because he was also like getting in my way all the time. Because you know, I'm in that cage and the hack squat's right in the corner. Whether he was doing it on purpose or not, I don't know. But he would just be like constantly in the way of me, like trying to unrack it and trying to actually squat and stuff. And I was like, what the fuck? So I had a lot of anger. So I was like, it's a good time to.
How's your elbows been on the hot bar?
Good.
Any elbow pain?
No
Do
elbow pain.
you normally get elbow pain squatting?
Not really. The wrists occasionally bother me. They actually didn't bother me yesterday, but I went ahead and threw the.
I'm about to move to a high bar, but one, because I'm out squatting myself on the SSB bar right now.
Right.
And two, because elbow pain's too good. I worked a cue with that Joe talked about Monday, and it's a cue I need, high bar or low bar. It doesn't matter, but it's talking about lat tightness on a squat and driving your elbows to your hips.
Yeah.
And a low bar, I just can't
get that pull down on it.
No.
You definitely.
I can get it, but the problem is, it cost me the next 3 days of good lifting.
Okay, because of elbow
tendonitis.
pain.
Yeah. So,
I mean,
it can't take that much away from me.
Right.
What I mean?
Yeah,
It becomes fruitless at that point. So,
yeah.
I'm discussing with myself about a permanent change to high bar to see if it relieves
elbow
pain. And obviously, I can't be that much worse.
The direct, you also get more, it's more of a bodybuilding squat anyway, so you'll just develop your quads better anyway.
Yeah, fuck it.
Recruits more your quads, so you have more back and hips and hamstrings for deadlift. So,
which is what I'm better at anyway. So,
right. Kind of the way I'm looking at things. As Logan Leverett messaged me and was like, "You're gonna hit 600," and I was like, maybe. I think 580. I genuinely think 580 is in the cards, and I genuinely think that.
I'll tell you what, I feel a lot better about that number than I did
a few weeks ago.
Well, it's not really it's not because I didn't believe you could do it. I told you I was really fucking happy about it.
Yeah.
But it's because, we just transitioned to a brand new squat.
Well, there's a lot of carryover.
There is, and we do train high bar in the off season. You do, I do when I'm with Ron. It's not like high bar's alien.
Mm-hmm. But it's not something regularly.
But it's typically not something we get under a 1 rep max for. Yeah. Most of the time if I'm squatting high bar, most of the time it's 5 to 10 reps.
Yeah.
Very rarely, So I can imagine it's probably the same thing for you.
But also and even though I wasn't good at it, I squatted high bar most of my lifting career.
Yeah, so the
I
carryover should have
mean,
been easier for you. It's not like you started.
I didn't start low
Yeah,
bar. I squatted high bar very poorly for 8 years or so.
yeah. It's funny.
Well,
Yours was
6 years.
more need based and
Yeah.
less anatomical. But it's funny that I've had several people, including myself, that I've ultimately moved back to high
Hmm.
bar. Logan not being one of them, and by doing so he's only put 70 pounds on a squat by moving from
Right.
low bar to high bar, which is
That's a lot.
yeah. And Mason did the exact opposite. Mason
Hmm.
squatted 430. Well, that's like 434 or something,
Hmm.
whatever the kilo conversion is, in April,
Hmm.
and has a 555-pound back squat
Yeah.
now. I mean, like, so
Which
I
he's
mean,
just
and
built
that was
for it.
by when you're he's built to squat, but it's crazy what an adjustment
Yeah.
can do almost overnight.
Yeah.
You've had to work at it because I still don't think anatomically it's the best squat for you.
Right.
But it's the squat that causes the least amount of pain, so it makes the most sense.
Technically, it's pain
progressible.
free.
You
Like
know,
I haven't had pain from squats since I started. Well, yeah, since I started high bar squat, I haven't had any pain.
I mean,
so
and that makes it progressible and trainable.
Yep.
So
Look out, boys! Great value, John Hack over here. High bar squat, conventional deadlift, and the bench press that.
What's the Target brand? You really shouldn't say great values. What's the Target name brand?
They have several different ones depending on what type of item it is. I want to say Up and Up is they're like trash bags and stuff like that. So
the Up and Up version.
Up and that sounds too much like I'm going to eventually come up to John Hack. 'Cause I am not. Funny story. We had Zach Dion on the podcast last week, and he told me a story, and he'll probably tell it when he comes back. But he was talking about he met John Hack at the Ghost Clash, and he was like in the hole getting ready to deadlift. He had his earbuds in, and he walked up to him and said, "Hey, are you listening to Katy Perry?" Just out of nowhere. Like I didn't get any other context other than that, and I just kind of laughed. I was like, "That's really funny." And I was like, I'm sure he just kind of laughed because John seems like a really cool dude. And he's like, "Yeah, he's super chill." Like, I mean, if I was like the greatest powerlifter of all time and just kind of like chilling, winning money at meets for no reason, like, yeah, it'd probably be pretty chill too, you know?
Yeah, I mean, why not be? He's pretty much got them all in the bag.
Yep. Only person if he swapped the sleeves is Colt.
Yeah,
I forget his last name.
I forget his
Colt the Limit Breaker.
Englehurst.
Maybe.
It's like a Eastern European sounding name. Yep, but
Fuck.
he's an alien.
Nuts.
Absolute alien.
Nuts.
Yep.
900 and whatever for 5 reps.
I wonder what the motivation is for him, especially with all the money meat being mostly sleeves now. I wonder what the motivation for him staying wrapped is.
I don't know. Find him, ask him. Like, why don't you do sleeves, bro?
I mean, everybody's got their reasons. I mean, it's still raw powerlifting. It's cool, but
I guess technically, I mean, if he went to the Ghost or the American Pro, they'd probably still pay out to top wrapped guys, right?
Yeah, but I mean, if you're going to there where that other guy's competing, why not go take his money? You know,
I don't know.
Well, I mean, because he is. I mean, he is technically the number one male lifter in the world by dots, but it is in wraps. So.
Yep. I don't know. Maybe he loses a lot of his squat on.
Might not matter
sleeves.
with John not looking like he's going back to 198, and that 570-pound press he just.
Yeah, that was gross.
He might not actually be that close to John Hack after all.
I guess we'll find out.
We will. Yeah.
When is he competing? Like 6 weeks, something like that.
Hack?
Yeah.
Well,
I know it's
you
soon.
know better than I do.
I know
you're a
soon.
much better fan than I am. I'm a little bit more casual.
I try to keep up with where people are going to be at, but I saw Canadian powerlifting nationals was today. Jessica Bettner got the all-time deadlift and total, I think. It was either all-time or national. I can't remember.
Cool. Yep. She's bad.
She is.
Definitely. 100%. It's the powerlifters are doing inhuman things, man. I mean, wish I could say I was one of them.
Right.
I don't think that's my role in the sport anymore.
I am still very human, I believe. It's still very human.
Yeah, I mean,
Working my way away from humanity, but I don't know that I'll get there.
I mean, think about just a couple years ago. Probably wish where we were. We were wishing where we are now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I actually had a message from a friend of mine. He's not super into fitness or anything. I made that post about people comparing their strength to Chris Bumstead and how it was. I can't say that. I'm gonna have to bleep that out. But how is really stupid. He messaged me and was like, "He's got nothing on you, bro." And I was like, "I'm never gonna win Mr. Olympia."
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I mean, I feel like there's been people prove that that's not necessarily the case. Kyle Curvey being one of them. I mean, making a pretty big splash in powerlifting, ex bodybuilder. I mean, you have
that's the thing. Like if Chris Bumstead wanted to strength train and he wanted to power lift,
he's got all the muscle he needs to kick a lot of fucking people in the teeth.
Literally, he would just need that CNS adaptation to lifting heavy.
Yeah,
we already know maybe
some mobility. Sometimes bodybuilders, maybe but I mean that's going to come with just squat, benching, and deadlifting.
Right.
I mean, that's you're going to get better at that. I mean, Stan Efferdine, the other one. I mean.
There's a lot of, especially in the female division.
Larry moved from powerlifting to bodybuilding, but Larry always looked like a bodybuilder. Yeah. I mean, same thing with Hack.
Yep.
I mean,
he could legit.
There's been a lot of bodybuilders come and fuck our sport up.
Yeah.
I mean, a base of muscle is a base of muscle, and it doesn't take Perseus.
Yeah.
Here, in Alabama.
Perseus is a bad dude.
Yep. I mean, 8'6" and 8's pretty fucking.
That's elite.
In the true sense of the word.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a
there's not a lot
badass
of people.
total.
2,200, like at what, 275, or was he a 308?
Yeah, 275. I mean,
gnarly.
I'm sure I'm probably selling him short on squat or deadlift.
Right.
But I want to say that he had a 900-pound squat, but I mean I could be wrong.
Just gnarly.
Yeah. So I mean, people really don't know what the fuck they're talking about when they say that.
It's really funny.
I mean, there's a reason too why elite strength athletes can make the swap to bodybuilding as easily as like Tom. Think about Tom. I'm going to say Tom Holland because I feel like it's the same as the actor's name, but I'm not sure that it is.
You're talking about Haviland?
No, Holland, British strongman.
Oh, okay.
He moved from strongman to bodybuilding and fucking tore it up. I mean, that's the difference in a diet.
Right.
That's going from 11,000 calories a day to 6.
Yeah.
Like, he's there. So, I mean, base of muscle is a base of muscle is a base of muscle. Don't really matter how the fuck you got it.
Right.
I hate to break it to people, but, and I tell people, we talk about this a lot on the podcast, but what we do in the off season is whether or not we diet to look that way is a different story. But in terms of training, that's what we fucking do. I mean, maybe with an SBD focus, and it might be close grip instead of regular grip, and it might be high bar instead of low bar, or RDLs instead of deadlift, but that's what we're fucking doing.
Right.
I mean, so people are pretty goddamn clueless about it. Get in the fitness comment section, any fitness comment section.
It's disturbing how many people have opinions that are just completely wrong. Like,
and really have
on
no
nothing.
base and have no reason to even have an opinion about it. And it's even more disturbing when it's somebody that is involved in fitness that has a just completely fucking jacked up view.
That's
somebody busting up Julius Maddox about 585 for 10 or something on bench press, something stupid like only Maddox can do.
Right.
Like 100%. I'd rather take that for one and not have a gut. Okay.
Get it for one.
Get it for one.
Go get it for one.
Get it for one. I mean, if you're going to tell me you're going to walk around at 300 pounds or lighter and have a 585 pound bench press, it doesn't matter. I mean, Hack pretty much does, but it doesn't matter at that point what you weigh. A 585 pound bench press puts you in the best of the world in every weight class on bench press. Doesn't matter what you weigh.
Does not.
You're
matter.
one of the baddest motherfuckers on this planet, regardless of weight class. The guy did it for fucking 10.
Right.
Shut the fuck up. Sit down.
It's like,
and just be like, I'm happy for that guy. You know what I mean? Why even comment? If you don't like what he's doing, like, why even bother? Like, you ain't got that much You ain't just fucking sitting, just fucking jacking on fucking IG that much, right? That
Man, you'd be surprised.
this guy could literally just fucking crush you.
Yeah.
Like,
That's the thing that gets me is like, oh, I'd rather not have the gut. And I'm like, man, he
this is somebody that you would not say that to.
Yeah. If you saw him in person, which I mean, in fairness, some people might, untrained eyes, they might look at him and be like, oh, that's just a fat guy. Like genuinely, they might think that. But he's so damn big, man, it don't matter.
I mean, like, look at his back and his forearms.
Right?
You can tell when you look at somebody's back and their forearms if they're a bad motherfucker or not. Strong people don't walk around with small forearms and small backs.
Right. Now you can tell just by looking at him, like he's full. It's not just like hanging down, like jiggling around. Yeah, I mean, he's full.
You also probably have to look like him to have he's chasing 800-pound raw bench press. You probably have to look like him to do that. Yeah.
I mean,
I bet he doesn't want to be that way forever either.
No.
But he's got a goal.
Right.
He'll hit it. Very realistically. I mean, he's done, 771 competition or something like that. He's going to have 800. There's no guarantee he doesn't say, hey,
I'm done.
I'm done, or I'm going to go full power and be, a 308 now.
Lose some weight.
Just have fun. Lose some weight. He may say he's done, whatever that may be. Like,
I feel like
900 is probably beyond what the human body can do.
Right.
For a raw bench press.
I mean, we know of now.
That we know of now. I mean, yeah. But this thing stay getting broken all the time.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like 700 pounds a long time ago seemed like what?
I mean, Eddie Hall's 1100, and how many people have lifted 1100 since Eddie's done it now? Officially, Thor's the only one that's beat it, but we've had sumo pullers pull.
I mean, at least close to it.
Yeah, 1,100 pounds in prep, not in competition.
Yeah, but Jamal, did he lock it out or did he just miss 500 kilos?
He may have just missed it. I don't know, but I mean, you can probably talk about a half dozen more guys that have done it since, or gotten close since Eddie's done it.
Yeah.
So
that barrier gets thinner and thinner as we progress in the sport. So the more things we learn, the more science develops, the more supplements we get that, we know
more and more about drugs, more and more about food, more and more about recovery, more and more about programming. All these things change, not even daily. They change by the second.
Yeah.
So it is funny to see people fucking
be stupid in the comment section.
Mass moves mass. Yeah, no fucking shit. Mass moves mass.
Right?
It sure as fuck does.
Guess what you are? You are mass. And he will move you.
I feel like I can reclaim this to some extent because the person that used it all struggled with 405 for 2 on deadlift the other day, and that kind of tickled me. But there was a rival coach here in town. He's moved away now.
Like visiting or just
he's moved. He was a permanent coach. That moved away now. But he used to use the Dan Green hashtag No Skinny Champions. No Skinny Champions. It doesn't matter what your weight class is. People fill those weight classes out with muscle. Sorry, don't know what to say. You're probably not stronger than Chris Bumstead.
Probably
full
not.
Circle.
I mean,
even if you got him in one rep, you're not repping a bench press like he does. You're not fucking squatting like he does.
Right.
I'm sorry. you know what I mean?
It's always the people that are like, oh, I had this video of me like poorly executing this lift that he does for less weight. And it's like, it just, the difference is night and day, and you can't tell me it's not.
I mean, the level of control that some of these bodybuilders do things with, even if they do them poorly.
Right. Just being able to.
Bumstead doesn't do anything poorly.
No, he is.
He's very technically sound. Yeah. He does. I mean, you have some heavier weight bodybuilders that do some pretty shitty leg presses, and some pretty shitty squats and stuff like that. But everything's super controlled. Everything's very deliberate. Like, I'm really happy you think you're stronger than you as a generalization, but I'm
right.
Fuck, that's so goddamn stupid.
Yeah, it is what it is. Take a shot. Yep. That was a really long show before the show.
It was. Got off on some tangents. Nathan said some politically incorrect things.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
We'll just edit that out.
That won't make it into the show.
If it doesn't get recorded, or if it gets edited out of the recording, it never really.
It never really took place.
Kamala Harris would be so disappointed in you. Did I bait you on that one a little bit?
You tried to.
Well,
I will not state any political views currently, but if you know me, you know my political views. So,
all right. That's the show before the show, guys. It's the Sip It and Rip It podcast. We got it right that time. You can follow us at Coleman_Barbell, at Nathan Skiddios, at Sip It and Rip It. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Watch us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, leave us 5 stars, comments. Don't be a hoe. Share the show with your friends. All that good shit. So
yep.
That's the introduction.
That is the introduction.
Yeah.
So, gym this week.
It was a good gym week. I mean, nothing. Back in some high volume deadlifts, my arm feels good enough to do that. So
no, like
some
bicep issues anymore.
Not a lot. No.
Little tingle.
Yeah, a little bit. Listen, I feel like if I can hang in there for sets of 10, 300 to 400 pounds, 3 or 4 sets like that, it's probably resilient enough. It's going to hold up to a big deadlift.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm over that hump now.
Yeah.
May toy around with the idea of a hybrid grip using both hook and mix, or just hook.
Mm-hmm.
Preferably just hook to save that bicep. But,
right.
But God, I hate it.
I'm gonna say you're gonna have to have a big nut sack.
A little inspired by Austin on that, because Austin pulled a very heavy single hook grip today and didn't slow him down at all. So I mean,
technically it's more efficient. It's just painful.
In my opinion, it does. You do set your lats up better.
Yeah.
Double overheaded.
Mm-hmm.
It's more even. I feel like you can get a more upright chest. I feel like you can do a lot of things better with double overheaded grip. That being said, some people just aren't fucking strong double overheaded. I'm not. I mean, I don't know what I can hook grip PR, but I mean, my best double overheaded is like 465.
Right.
So, I mean, that's wildly different than than my 1 rep max. So, I mean, just is what it is. Squats. I don't think I did anything. Just accumulating wins. I squatted another single above 450 today. I can't remember if it was 465 or 475. It's pretty irrelevant because it's sub-maximal. But did that. Had a couple of heavy-ish doubles on SSB at 400 plus. Camber bar bench press. Didn't move up heavy this time. Stayed at about 275. Hit it for a pretty good bit of reps. Just got a lot of volume on that. Deadlifts, like I said, sets of 10. I did 2 or 3 sets of 10 at 315. I know that sounds like a lot, but I when I deadlift 1 time a week, I recover really well from volume on deadlifts. So 335 for a set of 10, 365 for a set of 10, so about 50 reps. Touch and go. I think touch and go, that does have hypertrophic value. It's not ideal in season. Wouldn't let anybody do it in season, but when you're repping weight, if it's 5 plus, I'm still okay with
a
touch and go deadlift. Especially when I'm testing the resiliency of a bicep too, because that's constant tension. It doesn't really come off. So I'm good with that. Close grip today, 365 for a pretty smooth single. Not really looking to hit a lot of volume on the top end of that. 325 for 5, 245 for 15. Pretty good week. Mostly just leaving with a pump. That's the plan. Still only have, depending on what I'm doing, anywhere from 4 to 6 exercises a day. Leg days is about 4, 2 quad, 2 hammies, a compound and a machine, and a compound and a machine for both. So that's my week. So
good.
Yep, not bad.
Mine was pretty cool. Deadlifts, I think it was 585 for 3 sets of 3. I think.
They were obviously moved well enough that I remember the bleeding from the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the only thing.
Nathan's so good at this point. If I don't remember it, it's probably a good thing.
Yeah. It was fine. Down week, so nothing crazy. It was really funny though. I was just like, I didn't think anything of it. Was watching the video back, didn't see anything, and then I just kind of like hunched. I always sit on the plates when I'm hanging out, kind of resting. And the blood just kind of hit my arm, and I didn't know where from. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, where? Because it was like, it wasn't hot or warm. It wasn't cold. It was like just
It was like sweat
it was
hitting
like
your arm or something.
yeah,
Okay.
it was like room temperature and just hit my arm, and I was like, and I looked down and I saw just blood, and I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, I got my phone out, I was looking at my face, like nosebleed was my first thought, and I start picking at my nose, and I'm like, there's no blood, and I'm like trying to figure it out, and finally I find it on the side of my face, and I guess a pimple exploded. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, you can't bleed from your pores too. I mean,
but it wasn't so dramatic. Like it wasn't like everywhere, and it was like a big drop at once. So I don't think it was just like through my pore. I feel like it was probably a pimple that just kind of exploded from the amount of pressure that was building in my face, because my face got super red.
that's fine.
But yeah, that was interesting. And then the next day, I took iridescence twice this week. Had a heavy bench press. I hit 425 for a double, which was good. Would have gone for a triple if I had a spot, but man, Hartzell just does not have a lot of good
Reliable.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times when I was chasing that 405 or later last year, I ended up getting it early this year.
Mm-hmm.
Can't tell you how many times somebody robbed me of that because they wanted to
grab it early
or keep their hands on it all the way through the lift, or even after explanation.
Yeah.
I'd be like, hey, don't touch this unless I'm dying.
Yep.
Really don't even want you to touch it unless it goes back to my chest.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or unless I verbally say,
right,
get it, you know what I mean? But I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have done it.
I'm just kind of like,
I'm kind of an unofficial PR, but it was a PR all the same, right?
It was my best double ever.
Yeah.
It wasn't,
I only say unofficial because we know you probably had 3 or 4.
Oh yeah. I wouldn't say 4. I would say 3 for sure. Well, I can't say for sure, but pretty confidently 3. It definitely felt like I could have done more. The second one did feel slower than the first, and that's why I was kind of like, it's not worth getting pinned under this when there's a bunch of old ladies and old guys, and there's like really nobody to get this off of me right now. So let's just go ahead and rack it. Felt pretty good about a 425 double anyway, because that's only 11 pounds off my best single.
And we still have 6-7 weeks of training left.
Yeah.
So
well, I think it's more like 4.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
4-ish of like actual training, not counting deloads and that stuff. But anyway, 425 double on bench was good. Still puts me like those numbers, not counting it as a max effort, still puts me at about 450. But game day comes around, I still think 470's in the cards. And then squat was really cool. We talked about it. I don't know if it's going to make it on the show before the show or not, but I hit a 545 single, was really good. I was very happy about it. That's all I technically wanted. But then I reached a little further into the, flew. I would say flew a little closer to the sun, but I didn't burn my wings. It was good. I got it. I did find a flaw where at the bottom I lost tension, and you can actually see it if you watch the video back, which it was just on my story, so you can't technically watch it back. So if you didn't see it, whatever. But when I came down, you can kind of see I shift back a little bit. And when I come up, my torso folds a little. That put a good amount of pressure on my neck, which was concerning in the moment, because after I re-racked it, when I got it, it was sore. And I was like, oh God, did I just fuck up my neck? But then I walked around for a little bit, kind of rolled my neck around. It felt fine. Maybe an hour later or so. Didn't really even think too much about it. So all in all, it was a good week. I did not overhead press because I was strapped for time on that day. So I haven't actually overhead pressed in like 2 weeks. I hit that 225 for 5, and then I was like, yeah.
You got cussed out for that one. Anyway.
I did get cussed out for that one. Fucking whatever, man. But yeah, so it was a good week though. Pretty happy going into deload. Probably need it pretty bad.
Probably Nathan's been fortunate in that we've been able to linearly progress. Really, we've linearly progressed squats. We did do some undulation to a degree, but it was like a 20, 30-pound swing between heavy and light days. It wasn't like an extreme undulation that we did. But, I mean, he's been lucky enough to progress his bench press linearly this whole block, and we're probably at the end of that, I imagine now. So
yeah, going into heavy singles for prep or peak, excuse me, probably going to look a little different, I imagine. And we're going to kind of figure that out.
Probably going to go low, heavy, low, and at that point, or heavy, low, heavy. And at that point, it'd pretty much be about time to
Yeah.
take it down. So
We are close.
we
We're
are,
close
yeah,
to nationals,
absolutely.
man. I think about that often, how actually close we are to going to St. Louis.
Yeah, I mean, it's not very far away at all. I mean, it's
Slightly nervous. I think about it. I don't know if anybody else does this. I'm probably a little bit of a what's a good word for it? Probably just anxiety.
yeah,
But I think about lifts in competition all the time, and like my heart rate kicks up, and I like get a little shaky and a little nervous. And I'm just like, I have to calm myself down when I think about that. I have to think about something else. And it's not necessarily like God, I'm not going to get it, or I am going to get it. It's more, I always view myself winning. So I always view myself getting the lift, whatever it may be. But I still get that like anxiety spike.
yeah.
And my heart rate kicks up, and I'm just like,
I think we're all a little anxious about it.
yeah.
I know Austin is to some extent, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's the biggest stage we've ever been on. So that's, well, biggest platform, I guess would be the correct term. But yeah, it's just a.
At the end of the day, when we get back there in the warm up room, we actually start going. It's just another power.
Yep. Done this like 4 times before.
Yep.
Be number 5, I guess.
A little bit fun to rub elbows with people that are much better than me
Yeah.
as a coach.
Me as a lifter as well.
Yeah.
And get to see Joe.
But if we didn't belong, we wouldn't have got the invites. So
It's true.
So
We did get that cue, so
we did. So yeah, it's gonna be really good. I mean, I'm really, really happy about it.
1800.
Is there a path to? Is there a path to 500 dots?
Not this go around.
Yeah.
No, for me,
Austin is very, very much on the cusp. He would have to have dream day. I mean, it's within. I'll say this: it's within
means.
It's within means. As a coach, it's unlikely,
Right?
But I mean, typically, I think he's still going to end like 490s.
Yeah.
But like, him being in a heavier weight class, it takes a bigger, larger total to move up that 10 dots points than it will for you. Yep. But nevertheless, though, I mean, I've told myself repeatedly that it's just another day coaching.
If we hit 1800 and I'm just under, so if I put it as 240 because typically last time I weighed 230. I don't think I'm going to get that lucky with the water cut this time because I am a little heavier than I was last year. But 485 if I hit an 1800 total, which is kind of like the best day. Like that's us going out there and literally like hitting everything perfectly.
Yeah, no
issues. So I'd say
that's why we play the game. So
I mean, we're pretty close though. We're pretty close to. I think next year a 500 dots is pretty realistic.
Yeah.
If I can, and this is my kind of like little insight into my off season thoughts. I'm going to be training a lot of legs.
Yeah, I think
so many squats. Like
I can tell you personally what's changed about me training legs more often. Now I'm training legs 3 days a week. It's just my point of view about squats, my attitude about them. I know I have to go in there and get it done. I know it's submaximal, but having to get in, practice. Yeah, absolutely. Accumulating those wins like we were talking about. I mean, Austin's going to move to a different sport for a little while. And part of that's his training age that he just needs a fucking break.
Yeah.
But for us, practice is coming.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's, I think that really giving you a fair shake at high bar and not 12 weeks at high bar is really, really important. I have a new view on what's holding us all back on bench press. That's much different than my previous take. I feel like I'm correct. And tricep, we all need more tricep still. But listen to Dr. Mike and a couple other people talk about just chest density.
Yeah.
A lot of chest is coming in the off season for all of us.
Yep.
I do feel like it's benefiting me directly right now. I'm doing a lot more chest than I was. And then I feel like that's, probably going to be when it's time for him to come back, it's going to be true of Austin too.
Yeah.
Austin, who has massive legs, and he'll tell you this, has a quad weakness, which is insane. I mean,
Right.
He just belt squatted 900 pounds for a set of 10 today.
Gnarly.
But, I did that because he's having knee problems, and I did that intentionally so he could set way back in it.
Right.
So it was a very not quad dominant squat when he
Right.
did it. But, we have some deficiencies we need to work out. And in general, we just need to be bigger, stronger people.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to take for 500 to fall for y'all. And for me to be just better than mediocre. But, looking at it from that lens, though, I mean, I know who holds the Submasters records because he's a client.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that they're breakable. I'm very proud of them,
Right.
but I would like to get after that because, after that, next when I move into Masters, I'm going to be with Richard.
Yeah.
And I am a long way away from Richard. And I have Richard, I know you're going to listen to this, man. I have no just idea or even do I think I have the ability to catch you or pass you or anything like that. But it may be my best opportunity to break records.
Right.
Submasters.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we know I'm not doing it in open. Not at 275. Not ever, probably.
State records, I don't know. I have to
state
look.
records, I probably could. Especially, I'm way above average bench presser
Yeah.
for a heavy guy. Don't have a lot of just huge bench pressers in the heavier weight classes in Alabama. But Richard probably being the best at that, to be honest with you. But I feel like that's my best shake, more than likely. And then Austin's very much he's a 2K, has 2K potential. I would like for him to see that. I think you have 2K potential. I don't think that's coming in 2025.
No.
It's a little bit more realistic for Austin in 2025. But get you to 19.
19 would get me that $500.
Yeah,
and that technically that qualifies me for Ghost and American Pro. And I mean, that would, I know all this shit going down. People are talking whatever. I would still be ecstatic if I got to go to Ghost or American Pro.
Yeah, at that point, it's
not about
for us powerlifters, and like Zach said last week, it's a hobbyist sport, right?
Yeah.
That's the biggest stage for us to be on.
Yeah.
I mean, you get there,
probably lose
1,900 pounds at 242, probably going to lose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, let's be
probably not even podium if we're being real, but just being there.
Yeah,
but just being, just saying, I competed at the American
that
Pro.
That does mean that, that elite word you like to throw around, that does mean you've just about arrived at that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's not a small feat.
Yeah.
Not at all. There are some, and we'll get into the episode here in just a second, but there is some appeal to me in having, not necessarily about being drug tested, but there is some appeal to me to have more lifters, not necessarily move over to the USAPL, but maybe move to a stiff bar federation like that. I would like to see one of you guys do it all on one bar.
Right.
Stuff like that.
I think
I would like to have representation in those feds again that I used to have and I no longer have. Those are selfish things to some extent, but I would like to see more than I have a really good girl coming up. Right now has no intentions of using PEDs or anything like that. She's young. We might look at, stiff bar meets for her. I don't know, but
the best place as far as untested to do stiff bar, aside from some of the things that Powerlifting United is doing, because they are doing some stiff bar only competitions, would be overseas. The ABS. That's kind of like the place to be if you want to
have pretty goddamn big dots for that, right?
Yeah.
600 not 600.
I don't think it's 600. But you do have to get invited.
Yeah.
That is one of those things where you can't just show up, because I think their flights are like between 10 and 15 lifters.
Yeah.
It's very limited. Brianni got to go. Sarah Sobak got to go. One of Joe's guys got to go. I think it was what's his name? He's like one of the biggest dudes that is with Joe right now. I want to say it's Chris something, but I don't think that's right.
And off the wall goal, I would like representation back in the RPS and SPF.
Yeah.
not for any other reason other than we're all actually competing against open powerlifting. Let's be
Right.
realistic, but I just like pissing off the multiply lifters by sending raw guys that are stronger than them.
Right.
There is some appeal to that.
Right.
To that.
Now there are some pretty strong multiply benchers. Let's be real.
Oh goddamn, yeah,
6, 7, 800 pounds. But when you got a suit that compensates for half of that,
I mean,
you know,
it.
I love you, Zach.
It'd be cool.
Zach Marstiller.
Yeah.
No hate.
I do. Mainly, if anybody's ever experienced the treatment, everybody talks about how much multiply gets dumped on.
Mm-hmm.
Go to an event that has a lot of multiply lifters and tell me they're not just the fucking biggest assholes in the fucking warm-up room you've ever met before in your life. I mean,
Right.
Me and Austin, two very big men, got ran out of a fucking warm-up room one time because of multiply guys. So, I mean, and then he out-squatted them anyway.
Yeah. No suit needed, buddy.
No suit needed. He did it in sleeves.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. There's not necessarily some hate there, but it is some haha.
Right.
Look what we can do.
Right.
Kind of shit, you know. But I don't know. A little bit of another tangent and we fell down. You got PR songs?
I do, in fact. I do need to pull them up, but I do have them. There were several that I listened to this week.
All right, I got some up here. Little noisy hardcore kind of shit, but Born to Please by Skull Presser. I feel like that's fitting.
Skull Presser?
Yeah,
That's
a
pretty
powerlifting
cool.
podcast.
Pretty cool. I got Effigy by Chris Kea and the GJ, excuse me. The GJ. GEEJ. Letter J.
All right.
I don't know why they have such a weird fucking name, but the music was badass. So, and that might be the only song I have of theirs, but it was cool.
Continuing a little bit into my newfound hardcore obsession. And by the way, talking about that, I've really started to dive a lot deeper into hardcore lately. I'm definitely still gatekeeping hardcore pretty bad. Hardcore is really good when it's good. But hardcore for the sake of hardcore fucking sucks. like those guys, they can't play.
Right.
Their fucking lyrics are bad. It's just fucking boneheaded and stupid.
Just trying to be rowdy for the sake of being rowdy.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, Lance.
He does love some.
But I didn't realize. I feel like a lot of these hardcore guys got this idea that if you can actually play your instrument, you do not belong in hardcore. And because I know that there's a pretty good group of them that hate bands like Kublai Khan and Knocked Loose and stuff like that. And Kublai Khan probably not so much, but Knocked Loose that's actually a good group of musicians,
right?
Like fucking good musicians. Apparently, like hardcore guys don't fucking like that, and I think that's kind of funny in a lot of ways. Metalheads are the worst gatekeepers in the world, so like to think that the gate could be kept stricter is pretty ridiculous. But anyway, that was the second song. My bad. Went on another tirade. Murder 8 by Body Snatcher and Jamie Josta.
Okay, yeah. I like Body Snatcher. They're pretty cool.
Yeah, I like Hatebreed, so Jamie Josta being in something pretty fucking cool.
I don't know. Hatebreed's hit or miss for me.
I would say that it's hit or miss. I would say that.
I mostly because of Jamie Josta.
I think Jamie Josta's the only redeeming part of the band,
really?
to be honest with you. Yeah.
He gets on my nerves sometimes. His voice just kind of...
He's kind of like Zach De La Roca from Rage Against the Machine.
A little bit,
That's how you feel like he would talk to you?
Yeah, just very... It's
a little off-putting.
My second one it's a new song, just came out, I think this week. They just released a single as Epilogue of the Damned by Abadonia.
Abadonia?
Yeah. They are sick. They are very heavy, very cool guys.
Hell yeah. I don't mind that. Good PR songs this week. So
something like that. Good to us.
We've had a lot of fun so far. Me and Nathan kind of both want to get this over with.
Yeah. Topic's not super fun.
It's another heavy one. Nathan knows more about it than I do, but basically, trouble a brewing in the USAPL.
Yeah, so if anyone has, and let me just go ahead. I wasn't going to pull this up because I have most of it by memory, but I do want to make sure that I'm not.
We don't want to be spreaders of misinformation.
Right.
So we'll just blame it on the Russian government if
want to find her specific. So Brooke Reynolds is a USAPL powerlifter. She came out recently with some information about Dan Howell. He is, I want to say he was the 75 kilo world champion for the USAPL. It was one of the lighter weight classes. Apparently she had been saying he was abusive for a very long time. Just recently, I think it was after Worlds, she said she was going to release audio, and apparently there's a picture of him and his most recent ex-girlfriend. The audio that she released was very disturbing. It was a lot. I mean, it was very, just listening to it, it's like, this is clearly abuse. This is clearly something that he does frequently that is like ingrained into him. There was a picture of him in one of his sponsors' brand gear. It was a shirt or something, like sitting on her and choking her. Like, it was very, very just disturbing. I didn't see the picture. I was just told about it, and I don't think this picture is circulating.
Sure.
But I read about it. I followed a few different people who said they had personally seen it. I wish I could remember their names, but there were several people that I started following because I was trying to keep up with the story. But what's really disturbing about it for me, not to make like, oh, it's not disturbing because there's all sorts of domestic violence all the time. But specifically in the powerlifting context, USAPL has a external investigation team. I think it's Safe Sport.
This is a company that they hire to investigate these things. Okay.
So they have chosen the same guy. It was Scott something. I'm blanking on his name, but they hire the same guy for all of the domestic violence investigations. Every single time this man has gone and like been very supportive of the person who was claiming to be abused, would report all good back to the USAPL and then ghost the people that reported the abuse. This happened not only in the USAPL, but in other sports as well.
The Safe Sport, the company's involved in. This man specifically.
This man specifically is who they hire through Safe Sport. They hire the same guy every single time. And the fact that this correlates with they were deleting comments to save Dan Howell's face off of their Instagram. They are protecting this guy who is this dude, this piece of shit that is abusing women just because he's a good power lifter. And they're not taking any ownership of just being like, hey, there's proof now. We need to ban this guy. Like, no, they're just like, fuck it. Like, we're going to protect him because we like him, because he's part of our brand. He's a good power lifter. She left USAPL to go to Powerlifting America. Several other, I think, female powerlifters also did the same thing after all this came to light. And there was I can't remember who did it, but there was a banning announced. I read it. I read the post and I read everything, and it was not specific. It just said that there is a banning happening in either this federation or this meet or something. This director was doing. I don't remember specifics, but there was some sort of banning done. She shared that picture or that post.
We don't know to what extent though.
Yeah, it didn't really specify, which was odd. Just to say there is a banning. It's like, you probably need to be more specific and just tell everybody, hey, this person is banned from competing here. But it just really bothers me that in the sport of powerlifting, because this is not the first time we've talked about this on the podcast. We've been doing the podcast for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
and this is not the first time, that also bothers me, that it happens so frequently. Like, and you might say, oh, just twice in 2 years. Like that's too frequent.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
and the fact that every single time it's not been this is getting resolved, things are moving forward,
It's
people are
always,
getting banned.
it's getting ducked.
Yeah, every single time. So it's just really upsetting, because when I think about it, like, if my little girl wants to start powerlifting, what's the state of it going to look like?
Sure. Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know, like Desi, what's it going to look like for, like, obviously, like me, I'm not abusive. Like,
Yeah.
so in the house, it's not, but like outside
What are
of
they
that,
going to
like,
tolerate from judges, from supporting crew, from
exactly.
other coaches, from other members, from other, everything?
Yeah.
What are they going to tolerate from people that aren't our loved ones? You know
Right.
what I mean?
And that reminded me, she has a restraining order, Brooke Reynolds does, against Dan, but they wouldn't let them, like, they let him compete in the same meet as Brooke, even despite
So they
the
broke the
restraining.
law.
I guess.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would have had to.
right. I don't know the specifics. Maybe they could have been on different days, and that could have been like well, you don't have to be here while he's here kind of thing.
And that,
I don't know.
That would have been honestly diplomatic, and that's
right.
As much as you hate to use the word fair, that's
Right.
the best way to handle that situation.
As far as like wanting them both to be there, yeah, because obviously they want their world champion to be there because it's going to generate views or whatever. Sure.
Not at the same damn time.
Not at the same time. I don't know the specifics on that. I would actually have to dig into that a little bit, but that's kind of like just the gist of the story.
I'd like to get into something immediately, just get it out of the way, and how I feel about this from a business perspective. It is not, and this is probably going to upset some people, but I will get to my actual view on this. It is not the responsibility of a business to try to govern everybody that uses their business.
Right.
It's not. I'm sorry. It's not their responsibility to police everything. It's not their responsibility to decide whether or not people are good or bad people, or anything else. It's not much different than if somebody walked into my retail shop when I had it and bought supplements from me. I'm not going to stop and screen them and say, "Hey, have you ever been arrested for domestic violence?"
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't. It's impractical. It doesn't happen that way. That being said, when these are things happening in a way that hurts your business, just from a strictly business perspective, not even an ethical one or a moral one, it is your responsibility at that point to shut it down. Because what I do believe in is, if a business and its owners and the people involved in the business are going to act like assholes, then it is the duty of a free market to recognize the fact that they're assholes and to leave their business.
That's what happened with the USPA.
I mean, it is, and that's what happened to it. But it is very much the duty of the person purchasing to no longer participate in the USAPL if they feel like they have mishandled this. That's the USAPL's fault, and that is repercussions that the USAPL have made. That is also the natural progression of a free market.
Right.
By the same token, it's no different. You hear people talk about being denied service because of sexuality or race or anything like that. That's a terrible thing. You should never deny somebody service or something like that. At the same time, though, because you did that as a business owner, they get to go tell all their friends, all their family members, anybody on social media that listens, that you're a fucking asshole. It doesn't matter if you shut down your business or not. People may be calling for you to shut down your business, but now you're going to reap what you sow, and your business is going to suffer because you're a fucking asshole. That's the beauty of a free market. That's the way, to some extent it should work. But when you have somebody that represents you on an international level, now that is your brand. 100%. You shouldn't tolerate it from anybody. But 100%, like, if you're actively like getting rid of comments, if you're actively sending somebody that isn't going to find fault with this man to go investigate this, if you're basically going out of your way to make this guy look better, you're a fucking dick.
Yeah.
Period. You know what I mean? Like, so that's my point of view with all ethics and morality removed. Just the idea of a free market and where it stands. If you act like an asshole, don't be surprised when you're treated like an asshole.
Right.
period.
And the biggest thing for me, like, they could have just easily gone the opposite way. Just looking at the way the USPA handled their business, that should have been indication enough that they don't need to go down. They just need to ban this guy and appease the market, because we have plenty of places to lift. I mean, there's a path to Worlds, USAPL or whatever.
Yeah, we talked about that with Zach. You know, these federations give you a path to go lift at, you know, the IPF. USAPL don't anymore, but they give you a path to lift at an international level.
Right.
Which is important for a lifter. Business wise, you got to distance yourself from somebody like that. It doesn't even really matter how you feel about it. Feel and be damned. Like, you're going to lose lifters now because, you know, you didn't get ahead of this. Losing lifters is losing membership, is losing money, it's losing participation, it's losing viewers, it's losing. It's just losing.
Yeah. Why would you not want to lose one guy as opposed to like several?
Yeah, that's ridiculous too. Like, so, you know, if I'm faced with this if I have a problem client harassing my women, treating my men like shit, whatever the situation may be, treating me like shit, it's much, much easier for me to lose that one person than it is for me to lose 10. Because the 10 that he's affecting. Yeah. That's just dollars and cents. Right. Like I said, again, no moral or ethical involvement. Getting morally and ethically involved, the USAPL don't do something like this. I think we should all just go beat the hell out of them. I mean, they're tested, right? So we ain't got to worry about a lot. I mean, that's my feeling about domestic violence and shit like that. I don't fucking do that. I don't reason with it. I don't side with it. I don't think there's an excuse for it ever. I've had friends in my life that are still friends that have been accused of it and even have been arrested for it. And the truth came out that it was much, much different than what we thought it was. Shit like that happens. Yep. I'll be honest. But if you're straight up just an abuser, you don't have a right to a fucking healthy and happy life at that point. I believe in shit like that. Yeah. And I believe in knocking on the door with a baseball bat. I believe in rectifying violence with more violence. Yeah. I really do, to an extent, because I mean, the women in our lives don't deserve it. Children in our lives don't deserve it. Other men, good men, don't deserve it. Or whatever the situation may be. The USAPL protecting somebody like that, they don't deserve their good lifters. Yeah, the ones that are acting right is what I mean. Yeah, I mean, they don't deserve. And just to put this out there, it's not on the USAPL to police it, right? And no,
I think
it's not. You know, and but in a politically correct age, everybody's gonna be like, "Oh no, it is." It's not. Right. I'm sorry.
As a business,
at the same time, as a business, like I said, that person represents you. Like, that's one of your best lifters. 75 kilogram.
I think so.
Okay, it doesn't even fucking matter. But one of your best lifters, like, fucking don't protect somebody. You're not, at this point, you're not protecting your own dollars and dollars and cents. Like I said, at this point, you're just damaging yourself. Like, you know, the guy's an asshole. Treat him like an asshole. Right. Don't give everybody an opportunity to treat you like the asshole. And now that's what they've done. Right. They're shifting, you know, when they could have shifted the blame to the person that is to blame, they are now going to get a pretty good bit of blame themselves, and they deserve that now. Yeah.
The biggest thing for me, they easily, and like, even if they wanted to stay out of it completely and be like, look, we understand this is going on and we want the police to handle it, and whatever the police decide, great, you know, we're not going to bar him from lifting, but if he tries to, you know, come in here when people have restraining orders, I think that's the most neutral stance they could have, which may not necessarily be the best stance for them from a business perspective. Like, from a business perspective, the best stance probably is ban this guy, make sure everybody feels safe.
I'll tell you how other sports leagues would do it. You would get a suspension until you got a guilty or not guilty verdict. And if you're found not guilty through some type of due and just process, come on back. Right. I mean, that's why we have it. I don't believe in guilty of the, you know, in the eye of public opinion. Right. But this, I mean, we have physical evidence. Right. There's no doubt this guy's a fuckhead. Yeah. Right? So, but I have no problem with that. If they said, hey, we don't condone this, we're going to, you know, work with the police investigation. If this man is found guilty of this, he's not allowed to come back. Yeah. suspended until further notice. If he's innocent,
Great.
He can continue to lift. If he's not, fuck that guy.
Right.
So,
And
I
you
mean, that's a due process exists for a reason.
Mhm.
It does. And that's something that people are fucking patently offended by now.
Right.
Like I said, there is no doubt though that this guy did this.
Right.
Like in any court ever, like barring some ridiculous degree of corruption, this guy's fucking guilty.
Yeah.
But like everybody in any situation, he is due process.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, they've not done anything to distance themselves.
Right.
I mean, I think everybody would have found it reasonable if he said, "Hey, this guy's suspended for the duration of this season. When a verdict comes in, we will act accordingly."
Right.
That's perfectly reasonable.
Yeah.
That's not what they fucking did, though.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
again, we're talking about just like the USAPA. We're talking about it's beyond a blind eye. It's not even that they're just ignoring it; they're actively paying attention to it and then deleting things.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
trying to make it seem not as bad as it is. Like,
it is bad.
Right.
This woman's been abused. Like,
yeah. Now, there is no, and I'm not going to say she's a liar. There is no physical evidence of Miss Brooke, but it's his most recent ex that I don't know the name of. That's where all that came from.
Sure.
She's the one who recorded the stuff. She's the one that had the picture taken of her, stuff like that.
Sure.
So, but stands to reason if he was abusing the newest girl in his life.
Yeah.
Probably previous. And yeah, the next one. Sure. So, you know, I'm baffled by how these large corporations are fumbling these sorts of situations, because they should have had a plan for this. When the USPA, like me, if I'm a business owner and I see the USPA go through this shit, I'm not going to be like, man, sucks for them. Glad that's not happening to me. I'm going to be like, we need a protocol for if this happens, something that's going to like.
Yeah, you need a no bullshit protocol.
Yeah.
I mean, you really do. Like,
or at least some plan.
Domestic violence, sexual violence, there's no place for that in a civilized world. Or it's not. I mean, it's fucking cruel in every sense of the word. Yep. It's immoral in every sense of the word. There's no excuse for it.
Yep.
I don't think it's the role of a business to police every member. At the same time, this isn't just any member. It's somebody that, you know, represents your sport as a whole, represents your federation as a whole, and that fucking sucks.
Yeah, think about it from that perspective. This guy is like a world champion lifter, and then like when other people see the headlines, power lifter Dan Howell found guilty of abusing. Well,
guess what? Now, average Joe's like we're all fucking wild.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
exactly. That's an exaggeration to some extent, but yeah, I'm like, I can count in 17 years. I can count on one hand how many times I've raised my voice to my wife.
Right. Because it's just not something I
want to do or be a part of, and I can tell you, all 5 of those things are times or things that I regret fucking deeply. And we're talking about words,
right? Not
you know
not
what I mean?
physically like, choking somebody.
We're not even talking about words. We're talking about a tone.
Yeah.
I don't treat anybody that way. Let alone my wife. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
you're number 2. Like that's
exactly.
That's
I mean, she's my number 1. Yeah. I mean, that's.
Well, your baby's not your number 1.
Huh?
Your baby's not your number 1.
We have a very. If you want to get into that, we have a very specific thing. It does have to be me and her first to some extent. I mean, I think that's what makes a cohesive team, and that doesn't mean that's right or wrong for anybody else. But the baby's well taken care of and happy. So don't mix this up at all. But you know, there were some. We could get into that in another day. But I mean, we had a baby late in life.
Yeah.
Our goals don't change because the baby's here. We're including one more person in them.
Right.
But if we stay on the straight and narrow and do all the things that we want to achieve with each other and for each other, then the baby's got a better life anyway.
Yeah.
So a reorganization of priorities isn't necessary when the outcome is largely the same anyway. Yeah. You know, so that's my point of view on that.
Nothing wrong with
that. That being said, I can tell you wholeheartedly, there's nothing on the planet I love more than my daughter.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do think it's important to prioritize the spouse.
Right.
So,
no, that's
know,
true too. it's one of those things where technically you shouldn't, when it comes to the family, it shouldn't be there's a number one, there's a two. It should be everyone as a whole.
Yeah,
is equally important.
And that's the thing. Like if I prioritize Sandy, then the baby by default gets prioritized.
Right.
So, I mean, she's part of the house. What affects me positively affects Sandy and her positively. I mean, it is what it is. So, I mean, maybe I didn't say that too eloquently, but I do think that there's, reason for that.
No, I mean,
the baby's not helping me make decisions. You know what I mean? Like,
if that were the
she's
case,
absolutely a priority, but like, if she was helping me make decisions, then we
you'd
would
be
just,
napping all
the
day.
time. Yeah, and
which sounds pretty badass.
Sounds pretty badass. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not going to pay for her college if I'm at home napping. So
this is true.
So like I said, that's probably a different conversation for a different day. But I mean, I put the women in my life in general, but especially Sandy, I put them on such a fucking pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
Other than you, Justin, Trent, and I am close to some other male lifters, specifically Chris, Mason, and Austin.
Mm-hmm.
Especially Chris. But with the exception of a few male friends in my life, women are my best friends. I mean, whether it's my wife, Tammy, Elizabeth, Tamara now, these are all people that are, not to say that they're more important, but in a lot of ways they very much are. I mean, they have the biggest influence on me. Not to say they have power over me per se, but those are people that I view as the most important people in my life are women. I mean,
right?
They are. As a coach, the most important people to me are my women. There's reasons for that.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I want to make sure that women have a safe place. They don't have to worry about being coached by a domestic abuser. You know what I mean?
Which is
they pay the same gym membership we do, and every woman that has come to me ever has had some type of feeling about they don't belong in the gym because boys are there,
or somebody made them feel that way,
or for somebody made them feel that way. So
Tammy told a story about that when she was on the podcast.
Yes, I mean it's very much Coleman Barbell is very much ladies are put on a pedestal. They're put first. You ain't got to like it, but they pay, like I said, they pay the same dues, same membership, pay for the same training everybody else does. Mm-hmm. And men don't walk around with a feeling of, I don't belong in a gym most of the time. If they do, we can fix that.
Right.
But 99 times out of 100, it's not men that have those problems. So, I just, in my life, I can't, I didn't mention my mother. My mother's obviously very, very high on that list. But I just can't, the way I prioritize the women in my life, I just can't imagine treating any of them that way.
Right.
I've never even had that feeling. Some women in my life have made me madder and more angry than I can fucking fathom. And I've never had one of those thoughts. You know what I mean?
Never even pulled back. Just like, never even open hand.
Never. You know what I mean? I jokingly slapped Sandy with a pork chop one time.
Did you get in trouble? Or did
it was just like on the cheek. I know she was pissed. It was raw pork chop.
Ooh. Yeah, I'd probably be pretty pissed. But it was
like a playful thing. You know what I mean? Like we're not talking about like, I've never had this thought before.
Right.
Versus like, I want to fight you motherfuckers half the time. You know what I mean? Like it is what it is. It's just a very different. I just never had that feeling toward a woman. I don't identify with it. Don't understand it. Don't think it's necessary. And like I said, I don't think it has a place in a civilized world.
Yeah.
That being said, I've said it a lot of times on this podcast. I think violence is best solved with more violence.
Well,
so beat the hell out of them. That's what the guy deserves to be. I mean, honestly, that's not due process. That's natural selection.
Fair. Well, the camera is about to die. I can see it blinking over there. So you want to go ahead and wrap up? I think we covered everything pretty well.
Yeah, we did. Just put it out there too. Me and Nathan are a safe place for things like this.
Yeah. If something happens, please talk to somebody.
We're not going to fucking broadcast any of your personal business. Neither one of us agree with this. Stand by it. We don't agree with USAPL or how they've handled things. We don't agree with Dude and how he handled anything.
Yep.
I would think he's a shitbag. I am. This is something near and dear to me because a lot of my problems stem from problems in the household. When I was younger, I don't tolerate it. Don't think it has a place in the world. You can reach out to us, reach out to somebody. We'll find you help. They'll find you help. Something. Make that call. Order that pizza. That's a internet joke right now that I don't think is a really good fucking joke. But whatever you got to do, let somebody know because I think this sucks.
Yeah,
100%. And I am tired of talking about it on the podcast. It's supposed to be about. We're supposed to be talking about drinking whiskey and ripping fat deadlifts, not domestic violence.
Yeah.
And I think it sucks that we have to cover it. And
but it is important.
It is.
For people who like don't keep up. Like I would have never known this if I hadn't seen somebody share a post about it. Yeah. So just getting it out there and making people aware that it's still a problem.
This woman's brave enough to put herself out there and be a public example. You don't have to be a public example to get out from under a situation like that or get away from a situation like that. Nobody's really got to know your business but you. But if you need to reach out to somebody, we're here. There's avenues to help. Probably should have looked at the domestic violence hotline. Nathan's going to do that right now. It is serious. Like I said, we don't tolerate it. We don't like it. Heart's broken for all those women, the two women that we know of that's involved in that. That sucks. But good on them for being brave and telling the world this guy's a shitbag.
Yeah. The number is 800-799-7233, or you can text BEGIN to 88788. So reach out to somebody. I know there's a lot of like, but nobody will believe me. That happened to Brooke.
Yeah.
She told everybody, and everyone's like, no, he's such a great guy. You're wrong. You're a liar. You're just talking shit because you guys broke up or whatever. So that is a reality that people won't believe you, which is unfortunate, but
nobody but the police got to believe you.
Yep. That's right. So, and just remember like proof. Like,
save those messages, save those voicemails,
record
pictures, record violent outbursts, whatever you got to do. And it should be mentioned too, not to take up for them or provide a safe place for them or anything like that. But men, it's not Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, or is it Mental Health Awareness Month? I think.
Is it this month or
September.
Next month?
Next month's Cancer Awareness.
So it should be probably.
But I will say this: long before you start having these thoughts at home, you should reach out and talk to somebody too.
Yeah.
I do understand. Although I've never had these feelings before, I do understand this is a problem that can be connected to mental health and stuff like that. And you, as men, we should absolutely reach out to somebody too. And you should reach out to somebody if this is happening to you. If you're not the abuser or thinking you may be the abuser, if you're the abused, you should reach out too.
Yeah.
But the reality is it happens to women much more frequently than it does to us. So,
yeah.
But look out for help. Reach out for help.
Yeah. There are avenues to go. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Dad jokes.
It's kind of hard to get in.
It's kind of hard to do a dad joke.
A mental space for dad jokes, but we have to do it for the show. Maybe end it on a little lighthearted something. That way we can have a little bit of a smile on our face when we leave and not just be down in the dumps about how shitty the world is. All right. Let's see. I keep on waiting for that camera to die because it keeps leaking.
Richard just sent me his log press today from his first strongman meet.
Did he do a meet?
He did an impromptu strongman meet today, and he got 240 pounds on the log. That's super cool.
That's awesome. I knew he was competing. I didn't know it was this soon.
Yep, he smoked that 240 too.
Yeah, that was fast.
Good job, brother.
What vegetable is kind to everybody?
I don't know.
A sweet potato. Oh man, last week.
Dad jokes, huh?
So I told my dad I ran out of alcohol and didn't have any money to buy any for the weekend. So he gave me the huge bottle of vodka from the cupboard that I stole and replaced with water when I was 16. Life really does come back to bite you in the ass.
My 4-year-old son can't say please in Spanish. That's poor for 4. Bah.
My wife likes it when I blow air on her when she's hot, but I'm not a fan.
What kind of bees make milk? Boobies.
Why do milking stools only have 3 legs?
I don't know.
Because the cow has the udder. I saw that. I was like,
damn it.
"Ugh."
That's one of those that that's the only thing you say is damn it.
All right. I guess that's it.
Yeah, that's the show, guys. Sorry for a bummer. That's it. Don't hesitate to reach out to somebody if you need it. You can follow us on Instagram at Coleman_barbell, at Nathan Skedios, at Sip It and Rip It. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, subscribe to us on YouTube. Like, comment, leave 5 stars. Send us DMs. Tell us we suck. Tell us we're great. Don't be a hoe. Share the show. Yep. Thanks, Andy Frisella. See, don't sue us. Please don't sue us.
Please.
But that's it. Bye, y'all.